Close your eyes for just a second and imagine your most private moment. Maybe it is that first stretch in bed before you get up, or the quiet reflection you have in the shower, or even just the simple act of sitting on the couch scrolling through your phone. Now imagine a pair of eyes on you during every single one of those moments. Not just for a minute, not just for an hour, but for every second of every day for years on end. In the world of the incarcerated, privacy isn't just a luxury that has been taken away, it is a concept that practically ceases to exist the moment those steel doors slide shut. We are talking about a psychological environment where the walls don't just have ears, they have cameras, microphones, and the constant gaze of both the authorities and the people you are forced to live with. Today we are going to dive deep into the reality of how human beings adapt to living in a fishbowl, how they find tiny ways to reclaim their dignity, and the massive mental toll it takes when you literally have nowhere to hide. When you first enter a correctional facility, the loss of privacy hits you like a physical weight. It starts with the processing. You are stripped of your clothes, your personal belongings, and even your name, often replaced by a number. But the real stripping away is the visual one. In most facilities, the cells are designed so that there is a clear line of sight at all times. Even if you are in a two-person cell, there is a small window on the door where a guard can peer in at any moment. There is no knock. There is no asking for permission. The flash of a flashlight in the middle of the night becomes your alarm clock. You are effectively living in a glass box, even if that box is made of concrete. This constant state of being observed creates a phenomenon that psychologists call the panopticon effect. It is the idea that because you never know exactly when you are being watched, you must behave as if you are being watched at all times. This creates a level of internal stress that never truly dissipates. It is the ultimate form of social control, and it is the foundation of prison life. Let's talk about the most basic human functions, things we take for granted in the free world. Using the restroom or taking a shower. In a high-security facility, these are public acts. Most cells have an open toilet sitting right next to the bunk or the small desk area. There are no stalls, no curtains, and certainly no doors. If you have a cellmate, they are sitting just 3 feet away while you go about your business. To survive this, prisoners develop an unwritten code of conduct. There is a silent agreement to look away, to focus on a book or the wall, to provide a shred of psychological distance where physical distance is impossible. In the communal showers, the situation is even more intense. You are surrounded by dozens of other people in a vulnerable state, all while guards watch from elevated positions or behind glass. To a newcomer, this is one of the most traumatizing aspects of the experience. But over time, the mind does something remarkable. It numbs itself. You learn to shut down your peripheral vision. You learn to exist in a mental bubble that protects your inner self from the exposure of your outer self. The lack of privacy isn't just about the physical space of the cell. It extends to your communication with the outside world. Every email sent through a prison kiosk is monitored keywords. Every phone call begins with a recorded voice informing both parties that the conversation is being monitored and recorded. Imagine trying to tell your partner you love them, or describing a difficult day to your mother, knowing that a stranger is listening to every word, perhaps even laughing or taking notes. This forces a level of self-censorship that can be incredibly damaging to personal relationships. You can never truly be yourself, because you are always performing for an audience of regulators. You start to use coded language, not necessarily to hide anything illegal, but simply to keep a small part of your life just for you and your loved ones. It is a constant battle to maintain an authentic connection when the entire system is designed to intercept and analyze that connection. Even your most private thoughts aren't entirely safe. There are microphones capable of picking up whispers. But more than the technology, it is the social environment that is the true enemy of privacy. In prison, information is the most valuable currency. Their history, their family situation, or their weaknesses gives others power. This means everyone is watching everyone. A casual conversation in the yard is being dissected by people 3 tables away. A look shared between 2 inmates is analyzed for meaning. You are constantly under the microscope of your peers. This leads to a life of hypervigilance. You can never truly relax your posture or your facial expression. You have to maintain a mask of strength and indifference. The moment you show vulnerability, the moment a private emotion leaks out, it becomes public property. This is why you see so many people in prison with a 1,000-yard stare. They aren't just looking at nothing. They are pulling their consciousness deep inside themselves to a place where no one else can go. Let's look at the physical reality of the bunk. For many, the bunk is the only space that is theirs, even though it technically belongs to the state. Prisoners go to great lengths to create a sense of enclosure. They might tuck the edges of their blanket tightly under the mattress to create a clean, defined boundary. Some try to hang a towel or a shirt to block the view of the person in the top bunk, though this is often against the rules and results in a write-up. These tiny acts of defiance are actually survival mechanisms. They are attempts to carve out a few cubic feet of space, where the eyes of the world don't feel so heavy. When your entire world consists of a 6 by 9 foot room, the difference between the left side of the bed and the right side becomes monumental. The psychological toll of this existence is profound and recharge our mental energy. Without it, the brain remains in a constant state of high alert. This leads to chronic fatigue, irritability, and a breakdown of the ability to regulate emotions. For some, the pressure of the fishbowl becomes so great that they actually seek out the hole or administrative segregation. While solitary confinement is widely recognized as a harsh punishment, there are those who find a strange, dark comfort in it, simply because it is the only place they can be alone. Think about how extreme an environment must be when a person would choose a tiny, dark room with no human contact, just to escape the constant gaze of a crowded dorm. Noise is another thief of privacy in the correctional system. Privacy isn't just about what people see. It is about what you hear and who hears you. Prisons are incredibly loud environments. The clanging of steel doors, the shouting of orders, the constant hum of industrial ventilation, and the voices of hundreds of people echoing off concrete walls. In a dormitory setting, you can hear the person 3 beds down breathing. You can hear every cough, every sigh, every restless movement. You are never truly in silence. You can't have a private thought when the air is constantly being punctured by the sounds of others. Many prisoners use earplugs or try to drown out the noise with a radio if they are lucky enough to have one, creating a small, fragile barrier of sound to protect their mental space. The loss of privacy also impacts a person's sense of time and future. When every moment is scheduled and every movement is tracked, you lose the ability to spontaneously decide what to do with yourself. You can just go for a walk to clear your head. You can't sit in a corner of the yard and be guaranteed that no one will approach you. This lack of agency, combined with the constant surveillance, creates a feeling of being an object rather than a person. You are something to be counted, moved, fed, and watched. Over years, this can lead to a condition known as institutionalization, where the person becomes so accustomed to the lack of privacy and the constant direction that they actually find the freedom and privacy of the outside world terrifying and overwhelming. How do people cope with this on a day-to-day basis? Some turn to books. When you are reading, your mind is somewhere else. And the eyes of the guards don't matter as much because you aren't there anymore. It is a form of mental escape that provides a sanctuary. Others turn to exercise, focusing so intently on the rhythm of their heartbeat and the strain of their muscles that the world around them fades away. These are forms of internal privacy. If the system can have your body, you make sure it can't have your mind. You build a fortress inside your head, filled with memories, imaginary worlds, or complex plans for the future. This internal world becomes your true home. In some facilities, especially those with lower security levels, there are day rooms where people can congregate. Even here, the lack of privacy is manifest. Every chair is bolted to the floor in a specific way to ensure clear lines of sight. The television is usually behind a plexiglass shield. If you want to talk to a friend about something personal, you have to do it while walking in circles around the yard, constantly checking your shoulder to see who is following. This walking and talking is a staple of prison life. It is the only way to have a semi-private conversation, as the movement makes it harder for others to eavesdrop, and the open air provides a slight buffer against the concrete echoes. What about medical and mental health privacy? This is one of the most difficult areas. If you need to see a doctor or a therapist, you often have to tell a guard first why you need the appointment. In some cases, a guard is present in the room during the examination for security reasons. Imagine trying to talk about a sensitive health issue, or a deep trauma with an armed officer standing 3 feet away. This creates a massive barrier to effective care. Many people choose to suffer in silence rather than expose their private struggles to the staff. This lack of confidential space leads to a cycle of deteriorating health that is a hallmark of many correctional systems. Even the process of eating is a public performance. You sit at a table with people you may not like or trust, eating food that is served in a way that feels more like fueling a machine than enjoying a meal. Your table manners, what you eat, how fast you eat, and who you sit with are all being watched. In some yards, where you sit in the chow hall is determined by your hometown or your social group. One wrong move, one private moment of distraction where you sit at the wrong table, can lead to a massive confrontation. You are always on stage, and the stakes for your performance are your very safety. The impact on family visits is perhaps the most heartbreaking. When a family comes to visit, they are entering the fishbowl too. They are searched, they are watched, and in many places, they are separated by a thick pane of glass. Even in contact visits, there are guards everywhere, cameras overhead, and a set of rules about what kind of physical touch is allowed. You can't just hold your child or your spouse in a natural way. You have to do it within the privacy of a crowded, noisy room full of other families doing the same thing. This makes it incredibly difficult to maintain the intimacy that a family needs to stay together. The system effectively puts a wedge of surveillance into the most sacred of human bonds. Property is another area where privacy is non-existent. A shakedown can occur. A team of guards can enter the cell, toss everything onto the floor and go through every letter, every book and every personal item you possess. They are looking for contraband, but the process feels like a personal violation. They might read your journals or look at your family photos with indifference. To the guard, it is just a job. To the inmate, it is a total strip mining of their remaining dignity. After a shakedown, the inmate is left to pick up the pieces of their life from the floor, knowing that it will happen again, and there is nothing they can do to prevent it. The psychological adaptation to this environment is often called prisonization. It's the process where the individual slowly accepts the loss of privacy as the new normal. They stop feeling the sting of the guard's gaze. They stop caring that their toilet is in the middle of the room. This might seem like a good thing for survival, but it is actually a form of depersonalization. When you stop caring about your privacy, you are losing a part of what makes you an individual. You are beginning to see yourself through the eyes of the institution. When these individuals are finally released, they often struggle with the openness of the world. They might feel exposed in large rooms, or they might feel a strange urge to find a corner where they can see everyone else before they feel safe. There are also gender differences in how the lack of privacy is experienced. In women's facilities, the loss of privacy can be especially traumatic, as many incarcerated women have histories of trauma where their physical boundaries were violated. The constant observation by male guards in particular can be a source of significant distress. The struggle to maintain a sense of modesty and personal space is a constant battle. On the other hand, in men's facilities, the lack of privacy is often tied to the macho culture, where any desire for space or solitude is seen as a sign of weakness. Both environments create their own unique brand of psychological pressure that shapes the behavior of the inhabitants. Let's talk about the digital age. In some facilities, tablets are being introduced. While these can provide a window to the outside world, they are also another tool for surveillance. Every message, every song downloaded, and every video watched is tracked. The privacy of the digital world is a mirage in prison. It's just another layer of the glass box. However, for many, the trade-off is worth it. To be able to look at a picture of their child on a screen, even if the state knows they are looking at it, provides a small crumb of comfort in a desert of isolation. The concept of personal space in prison is measured in inches. In a crowded dorm, your personal space might only be the area directly above your mattress. If someone sits on your bunk without permission, it is a major violation of your boundaries. This isn't just about being territorial. It is about the last shred of control you have over your environment. When everything else is public, the bunk becomes your castle. The tension that arises from these small boundary violations is responsible for a huge percentage of the daily friction in prison life. It is the friction of too many people in too little space with too much eyes on glass. So how do people find peace in such a place? Some find it in religion, spending time in prayer or meditation where they can feel a connection to something that the guards can't see. Others find it in vocational training, focusing on learning a skill like carpentry or plumbing, where the work itself provides a mental focus that blocks out the noise of the institution. And many find it in friendship. Despite the risks, human beings are social creatures. Finding one or two people you can truly trust, people you can talk to without the mask, is the ultimate way to reclaim a sense of private self. These inner circles are the most valuable thing an inmate can have. In the end, the story of privacy in prison is a story of human resilience. It is about the incredible ways the mind finds to hide when there is nowhere to go. It is about the strength it takes to remain a person when every force around you is trying to turn you into a number. The next time you are sitting in your living room, enjoying a quiet moment to yourself, take a second to appreciate the silence and the solitude. It is a gift that millions of people living in the shadows of our society would give almost anything to have, even for just an hour. The glass box is a harsh teacher, but it reveals just how much our inner world matters, and how far we will go to protect the last few sparks of our true selves. As we look at the architecture of modern prisons, there is a movement toward direct supervision models which try to create a slightly more natural environment. But at its core, the mission of the prison remains at odds with the concept of privacy. Security requires visibility, and visibility is the death of solitude. This fundamental conflict is what defines the daily experience of the incarcerated. It is a world of constant light, constant noise, and constant observation. It is a life of being forever in the spotlight, without ever having asked for a role in the play. Understanding this reality is crucial. For anyone interested in the criminal justice system, it isn't just about the length of a sentence. It is about the quality of the seconds that make up that sentence. Each second spent in the fishbowl is a second that chips away at the individual's sense of self. The challenge for the future is how to maintain security while still allowing for the basic human dignity that privacy provides. Until that balance is found, the bunk, the book, and the inner mind will remain the only true sanctuaries for those living behind these walls. The loss of privacy is a silent punishment, one that doesn't leave physical scars but changes the very structure of a person's soul. It is a constant, droning background noise in the life of every prisoner. And yet, day after day, they find ways to survive it. They find ways to be private in a public world, to be quiet in a loud world, and to be themselves in a world that wants them to be no one. It is a testament to the fact that while you can chain a body and watch a cell, the human spirit is a territory that can never be fully occupied. Stay tuned as we continue to explore the hidden realities of life in the most restrictive environments on Earth. And remember that even in the darkest places, the search for a little bit of space, a little bit of quiet, and a little bit of self continues unabated. The adaptation to this environment also means that prisoners become expert observers themselves. When you are being watched, you learn to watch back. You learn the routines of the guards, the blind spots of the cameras, and the subtle shifts in the mood of the dorm. This mutual surveillance creates a complex social dance. It's a world of high-stakes poker played with every look and every gesture. In this environment, even doing nothing is a deliberate act. Every moment is a choice, and every choice is public. This is the reality of the no-privacy life, and it is a reality that stays with a person long after they leave the gates. Thank you for taking this journey into the fishbowl with us. It is a world that many will never see, but it is one that exists every single day. The struggle for privacy is a human struggle, and seeing how it unfolds in the most extreme circumstances gives us a deeper understanding of ourselves and the value of the freedom we often take for granted. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your mind curious, and never forget the importance of your own private space.